Okay. Hello.
What are your names?
Oscar and Ted.
Oscar and Ted? Which one's Oscar, which one's Ted?
Oscar! Ole! Dad! Are we gonna cut this?
Christmas cracker jokes are usually pretty bad, but these are the best, worst Christmas crackers you will ever touch. And you can thank this guy. This is Andrew. He is a professional stand-up comedian and dad who experienced possibly one of the most unfunny days you can imagine.
Ted wasn't at school at this stage. He was a few days off turning 4, and just in the middle of the night, the Thursday night, he woke up, he was crying, he complained he had a sore bum, I just didn't think too much of it, gave him some Panadol, he went back to sleep. And the next morning, he's saying, I've got a sore bum and it's getting worse. So we go up to local doctors, and by the time we get there, he's pretty inconsolable, like he's in quite a bit of pain and running a fever, and the doctor basically looks at him and says, like, I don't know what's going on. By the time we get to the hospital, he couldn't really even load bear on his legs, like he wasn't really walking. The tests they were ordering started getting a little more complicated, like he had full body scans. But this doctor he was very on the case. He goes, look, I'm not happy sending him home. Like it looks like at different times I could send him home. I'm not happy sending him home until we've worked out what this is. And he goes, I've just had a phone call from the labs. They've put his his blood test films under the microscope, and they've detected blasts. And I was like, I don't know what that means, which is an indicative test for leukemia. And so he said that, and then, yeah, that was all the oxygen going out of the room at that point. That was a weird feeling. We finally got into the ward, and it was late at night, and all the everyone's got their curtains closed, and I remember just they set us in, and Ted had fallen asleep. I remember just sitting on the side of this fold-out bed and just going, how? This was like, it was not a week ago, and we were at Port Douglas at a mate's wedding. I was snorkeling on the Barrier Reef. Like, that was the first time when Nat and I really just sort of cried, and then I'm like, oh man, I felt like, see the prison movie, the new guy come in and he's sobbing in the room and all the other prisoners can hear, and they're just politely, I felt like, oh man, I'm that guy. Like that's a weird analogy, but it was a weird feeling. It just felt like, yeah, so much was on top of me, and I was like, oh, this is the last place on earth I want to be right now. I could be anywhere else.
What do you reckon are the biggest misconceptions about a kid going through that process?
I didn't realise how long the treatment was. It's 2 years all up, and it's different stages, different intensities throughout that. He's tired all the time. He was, he'd lost his hair, and so he understands that that's all because of the treatment. Kids in the treatment for leukemia are on fairly strong doses of steroids. So what happens is he was hungry all the time and super emotional. Like roid raging like you wouldn't believe. I remember standing actually here, I remember him standing here in the kitchen, and I was over there at about 6:10 one morning making spaghetti bolognese, and him just crying because it wasn't ready yet. And all I could think was, I don't know why they need drug testers in athletics. Just go around, find the guy who's crying because his dad didn't make spaghetti bolognese. I mean,
We would have found Lance Armstrong years ago.
There's your culprit.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
You.
You're a poo.
I'm a poo, you're a poo.
Do you think it's changed him?
Yeah, like he has a sense of that he's had a different experience to different kids, and he'll often say, I'm different. Like if someone hurts themselves, or he finds out someone had to have a needle or an operation or something, he's very, very empathetic.
Did you ever entertain the possibility that he might die?
I mean, there was a night. I remember one night I'd finished a gig, and Nat called me. Ted had a nightmare where we had a nephew who passed away very young, and Ted was telling Nat that his cousin had visited him, who's a ghost angel, and told him he's going to be a ghost angel like him. And Ted was upset that he was going to not get to grow up, which was like the first indication we'd had that he had any any concept that maybe there was a mortality aspect to any of this. So that was really tough dealing with that.
But I think the thing with kids is like every now and then you get these rewarding moments, like you get an amazing moment with your kids that sort of just makes it all a little bit worthwhile. Like just out of nowhere, he just stops what he's doing, he just looks me dead in the eye and he says this, he goes, "Dad, you're my best friend." So, yeah, obviously it was a bit awkward that I couldn't say the same back to him. I've got mates for over 20 years, I've known the kid for, you know what I mean?
Your job is to be funny for a living, and you went through a really unfunny thing.
Yeah.
How do you make those two things work?
Compartmentalising. Your job's just to go up and be funny, make them laugh, find that. And to have to put yourself in that mental space gives you a bit of breathing room from the mental space you're in for the rest of the time. Reality is, doesn't matter who you are, that feeling of making other people laugh. Laughter's infectious, and when you walk off stage and you've made a bunch of people laugh, that feeling of like joy and just adrenaline it's second to none.
You are working with Camp Quality to reinvent something that is beloved and reviled at Christmas,
Yep.
which is the bad dad joke filled Christmas cracker.
Yes.
How are you trying to change it?
Okay, so Camp Quality for our family has been amazing, so anything I can do to help them. So what we thought we'd do is we've got comedians basically to write the jokes that are in the Christmas crackers. Probably the big names, Rove McManus, has got some jokes in there, Ronnie Cheng.
It's shocking to me that nobody at the Christmas Cracker, like Christmas Cracker HQ, they've never gone, you know what, comedians, that's what this needs.
Well, that's what they said to me. I was like, this is perfect. So they said, do you think you could help us get on board? And I was like, yeah.
At a certain point in hospital, Ted gets to ring a bell. I
Yes.
love the idea of the bell. What is the significance of the bell?
So the bell is at the end of your last treatment, no matter what the cancer is or what it is, all the nurses gather around and everyone sits around and sings the song, and at the end of it they get to ring the bell to feel like they've finished their treatment and they've done.
Dong, 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 dong.
So he's in remission. He'll still remember the needles and all the bad stuff as well. But Ted's getting to the point now where his immune system's rebuilding because he's not on the chemo anymore.
Just chuck all those diseases at him.
Yeah.
Watch them bounce off.
Yeah. Sneeze on him.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure I want him at 100%.
Remember, they outnumber you by day,
Yeah.
so you want to be careful with what you wish for.
Yeah, he's pretty full of beans anyway. So I think at 100% energy, he's going to be bouncing off walls. But it'll be a nice problem to have.
Andrew, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.